any second now. Hey, welcome everybody. I am so psyched today because I'm trying to frame this up. There we go. Because today I have my co-author, Ms. Dana Steele, who is pretty much the coolest person I've ever met, and you're going to see why very shortly. Before we get started, I wanted to let you know that Vengreso Live will soon be the Modern Sales Mastery Show. Absolutely the same format, slightly different background images, but other than that, keep meeting us here every other Friday at 9:30 Mountain, 11:30 Eastern, 8:30 Pacific, or, wherever, what time you're at. So let me know in chat, where are you watching from? Let me know where you're watching from, how you're doing, and say hello to us in your native language, whatever that might be. Hola, bonjour, hey, yo, happy Friday. Okay, enough of that. Let me bring on, and when I say me, I mean the amazing Andre, who is helping me produce this in the background. Let us bring on Dana Steele, my co-author. Hello, love. How are you?
And as we'd say in my native language, hi, y'all.
Hey, y'all. That's right, because you're in Houston right now.
Right, and if it's a larger group, it's hey, all y'all.
Yes, that's right. All y'all. Exactly.
All y'all, which would be all you all, but whatever.
All y'all. Exactly. Hey, Yvonne in Philly. We got Mateo all in Florida. Awesome. Good to see you, Mateo. Hey, BJ. So if you read the first version of this book, you would know that Dana Steele is like who I want to be when I grow up. We may or may not tell the story of.
I have.
There we go. All right, we got both versions. Yeah. Exactly. Perfect. Yeah, she's just like the coolest person ever. You were like a rock jockey, disc jockey, awesome steel workers. Like, tell us that, because everything she has behind her is just a smidgen of the cool rock shit that she has all over her house.
Well, the short version is I used to be cool, and the longer version is I was a rock and roll DJ in Houston, Texas, my hometown. I was really fortunate. I was on the air here for over 20 years and at one of the top rock stations in the country, KLOL, Rock 101, KLOL. And then went on to start the first NASA online store. I literally bought HTML for Dummies and taught myself how to build a storefront, got a little bit of help, and ended up selling that to a NASA contractor and became an aerospace executive. So it's been a very bizarre. Oh yeah, and I was married to a NASA pilot.
And she's married to a NASA pilot. I know.
Bizarre, and there's so much more, but
still married to Charlie. You weren't just like a pet. I mean, you like married a NASA pilot and are still married to them. So that's quite an accomplishment for a rock and roll chick.
It is. I mean, I don't think I was ever with anybody for longer than 6 weeks. So we're going on 30 years. And, it's never a dull moment. And if you go to my LinkedIn profile, Dana Steele, DAYASTEELE, there were so many other jobs, and there's been 15 books, and there's a podcast, and blah, 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 blah. I've just reinvented myself a million times and had all doing it. Highly recommend it. I
absolutely love it. Yeah. I mean, talk about reinventing yourself. You've You've got a signed guitar from David Bowie, who is the king of reinventing himself. You just had Ian Anderson on your podcast.
I love him. He and his kitten. His kitten was like
exactly
kept unplugging everything, but yeah, we made it work. We made it work. You know, walking across the keyboard, whatever.
And then there's a cool story about Ian Anderson sending his flute up to the space station.
Well, yeah, being married to a NASA pilot, a lot of your friends are obviously astronauts, and one of the women astronauts, Katie Coleman, and I just became really, really good friends, really close. We married around the same time. We both had preemie babies around the same time. We were both women in a male-dominated field. So Katie and I have, it's like Brooke Baldwin of CNN's new book, Huddle. Katie and I have huddled together to help each other through so many things, personal and business. And right before Katie left for Russia to go live on the International Space Station, she's a flautist. She plays flute in the astronaut band, or did. She showed up my door one night. She's like, I need a glass of wine and I need Ian Anderson's flute. I was like, what? And she said, do you? So I literally got on Facebook and said, do I know anybody that knows anybody who knows Ian Anderson? And one of my followers said, I'm his publicist. What do you need? And I said, okay, Katie would like to fly Ian's flute with her for 6 months on the International Space Station. I need like one point of contact that can, if he wants to do this, I need one point of contact because Katie is crazy, getting ready to go up, training. She doesn't need a bunch of people. And like 5 minutes later, I got the funniest email from Ian Anderson saying, you know, I'm really nice. I'm very conscientious. I brush my teeth. I take the occasional shower and I promise not to bother Katie. It was the most hysterical email, and we have stayed in touch ever since. And it's the 50th anniversary of Jethro Tull, so it was like of Aqualung.
I know. I mean, I remember
him 43.
Aqualung's as older as I am.
And it's 50 years old officially. And so I just reached out to him and said, "Do you want to do the podcast?" And he's very, very. He's funny. He's great. He's articulate. He is adamant about vaccines. A lot of people don't realize Aqualung was about being open to all religions. It was about homelessness. It was about overpopulation. So he's always been very much into history and politically inclined. You know, people just think it's a rock album, but it's an interesting, serious interview. It'll air in a couple of weeks on the Rockstar Principles. And I had Katie surprise him. Katie popped in. Katie and her husband, who's a leading glass artist. I mean, it's just this bizarre network.
That is so cool.
That was fun.
So where do people go to find your podcast? Where's the best place for people to go to find your podcast?
TheRockBusiness.com.
All right.
TheRockBusiness.com.
Andre's going to take care of that.
There you go.
All right. TheRockBusiness.com. Andre, can you pull that up in the meantime? Here's and Andre, I'm also putting Dana's LinkedIn address there. So are you having breakfast right now?
No, I'm having my tea in my Rockstar mug. See? It's the last mug I have left. I don't, every time I move, I give everything away. So there.
Yeah, if you want really cool rock memorabilia, hang out by Dana's house in Houston. She's downsizing. So I met Dana. Yeah, let's talk about the book. So I met Dana at an NSA event where you were supposed to be my babysitter. Is that's pretty much correct?
I had no idea what that was going to entail for the next 20 years.
We are NSA, National Speakers Association, as opposed to the National Security. So NSA, National Speakers Association. Exactly. Let's make sure they know the right NSA. And they're basically like, here's Vivica. She's one of our, one of our speakers. And like show her around, babysit her. Yeah. And we ended up just hitting it off. Did you? I think we just like hung out the whole time.
We did, and we hit it off so well. And then you reached out, I guess, a couple of weeks later and said, can I just come hang out with you for the weekend? And you did. And, we talked about the fact you were single and you wanted to meet somebody like Charlie. And then the next thing I know, you're sitting next to Alan on an airplane, and the four of us all hang out together. So you never know.
Exactly.
By the way,
So
I was just looking at this comment from Yvonne about
yeah,
the illustrations in the book. And I'm so
yeah.
glad Yvonne said that because I actually told you, let's just do quotes. Let's not do illustrations. It's going to be really hard to see them black and white in a small book. And Viva stood her ground on that one, Yvonne. And I'm glad she did. And thank you so much for that comment.
Thanks, Yvonne. Yvonne's one of our favorite people. She's with Vengreso for a long time, and we love her still. And Yvonne, anytime you want to come back, you're welcome with open arms. She's like, hell's no. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the book. Now, you've had me on a few of your podcasts, written a couple articles for you. What have you found? Well, let's back up a little bit. First of all, you've got a whole series of 101 Ways to Rock books, including the very first one, which kind of sparked the series. So will you talk a little bit about, there we go, 101 Ways to Rock. Can you talk a little bit about kind of what sparked that book, the whole series, and then the rest of our relationship?
I wrote an article for fastcompany.com. People are always asking me, how did you reinvent yourself? How did you learn to market? Will you meet with me? Will you mentor me? And it got to the point where I met with so many people who were like, I would give them a bunch of pointers and they say, oh, well, I don't have time to do that. Or they wouldn't do anything I suggested. So
Yeah.
I got out of it, actually came out of frustration. I sat down and I wrote this article for fastcompany.com called 5 Things to Do Every Day for Success. And I started, and it has continued to go viral around the world for like 11 years. You can still find it.
Wow.
I must have really hit a nerve. And then it got to the point when people say, well, you meet with me. I said, only if you do these 5 things every day for 30 days. And most people will not put
Yeah.
forth the effort. And it's not that hard. Get up early, watch the news, send something to somebody who can send you money, not necessarily an invoice, maybe just a hey, thinking about you. Reach out to somebody you haven't talked to in a long time and ask them how they are and what they're working on, how you can help. And
Yeah.
number 5 was write somebody a handwritten note. But people started sending me other ideas. So it became the first book, which is 101 Ways to Rock Your World, Everyday Activities for Success Every Day. And an editor on that first book said to me, oh my God, this is like Twitter for dummies. You could have a million titles. And, the capitalist in me went,
Yeah.
huh.
I could
And
do that.
I actually took a copy of the first book. I could do that. I took a copy of the first book to a friend in Switzerland, and a really pissy neighbor of hers who was over drinking with us said, "Wow, this is so simple. It's like a bathroom read." And I was like, "Yeah, and do you know how many
Yes,
bathrooms there are in the world? Thank you very much."
exactly. I love that. Because, people wouldn't do 5 things. So why not throw 101 at them? Yeah.
Well, that way you can just open it. You can pick and choose. One of the latest ones right before yours is I ran for Congress. So
Yes.
not having a clue what I was doing. So I've written a book, 101 Ways to Rock Running for Office. It's a nonpartisan look at how do you start? What do you do? What are the basics? And again, somebody said, well, this is just simple. And I'm like, that's the point.
Yeah.
Sometimes we overthink things. And like with your book, I'm going through it and checking my profile, but I'm going through it one tip at a time, making notes,
Yep.
saying, okay, I need to go back and do that, or I need to get this material. And it's something that you can do 1 or 2 or 3 tips, put it
Yeah.
down, put a bookmark in it, and then come back to it when you have more time. But it's simple, easy to do, bite-sized things that will get you to success at the end.
Yeah, that's it's so true, and it's funny because my first book for Wiley was like 389 pages, and it's really good for putting your computer on to lift it up. It's so out of date, and but it was, I mean, first of all, terrible name, right? LinkedIn 1 hour a day, like it was the 1 hour a day series. Which, thank you, Wiley, I appreciate the opportunity, but no one feels like they have 1 hour a day. So now we went to the 101 tips, but truly what Dana said, like there
Tiny,
you
little
go.
bitty.
Tiny, tiny. I mean, I literally wrote the first version of this book coming back from Sweden. I had a speaking gig in Sweden and I was flying back and I couldn't sleep. So I'm like, well, I've got 9 hours. I might as well write a book. which was really great, except for that I left my computer on the phone on the plane because I was so tired. I don't know if you remember that, Dana.
Oh my God.
Because I had to rewrite the whole thing, which is fine. It was probably better the second time. So this is like the fourth writing of it.
If anyone
Really,
has ever wondered why Vivica needs a babysitter, it's really quite obvious.
it really is. All right. A couple people have already received the book. That is awesome. We had Wendy, actually. Wendy just released her book and we had her on Tuesday. So welcome, Wendy. Please feel free to share your book as well. Really cool. Actually, the two of you would hit it off. Actually, Wendy, you should write a 101 ways to translate your business or something like that with Dana. There you go. There's your next book. Because, she just released one, so why not write another one? But yeah, I love the formats of all the books. And you have, how to run for office. You've got, was it apply for college or go to, you've got a bunch of, tell us some of the 101s.
Yeah. We've got the first one, Everyday Activities for Success Every Day. Yeah. There's Welcome to College, which we actually need to update that one. We're working on that one because things have changed so much. Solo Female Travel and Online Dating, which came out just before the pandemic. Not particularly good timing in that one, but we, they will be a big hit this fall. I have On the Golf Course, In the Classroom. I did one with a friend called 101 Ways to Rock Parenting. And then I ran for Congress and everything got crazy. She was like, can I take this and retitle it? I'm like, whatever. Let's see what else. I'm working on 101 Ways to Rock Networking to come out either this fall or in the spring, because I feel like people need a refresher course as we get back into actually being with each other. Next Mother's Day, we're working on 101 ways to rock what mom says. Mine was always, do you want Jell-O with that? No, I hate Jell-O. I've hated Jell-O my entire life. So it's
my
fun,
mom did the same thing with tomatoes. She always was trying to feed me tomato sandwiches. I hate tomatoes. I don't like green tomatoes. I don't like fried tomatoes. I don't like little tomatoes. I don't like big tomatoes. Exactly. I don't like tomatoes. I don't mind tomato sauce, but I don't like tomatoes. That's so funny. Parents are so funny.
I always tell people the lesson you can take from this is when somebody says, wow, this is a great idea, you should blah, blah, blah. Write it down, store it there, because, we want to do 101 Ways to Rock all kinds of different cooking. We want to do a travel series. And the first one is coming out right around, we're hoping Mardi Gras will come back to New Orleans next year. So we're going to have 101 Ways to Rock New Orleans that I'm co-writing with somebody who's a part of the Visitors Bureau there. 101 Ways to Rock Paris, 101 Ways to Rock New York. I mean, there are so many.
I love it.
There's not enough hours in the day to do all the books I want to do.
Yvonne will help you write 101 Ways to Rock Philly.
I love it. See, and I need a publisher. I need a Wiley, because I need I need a big publishing company. I did this just as sort of a marketing tool for my speeches because I am a business speaker, and it's taken on a life all of its own. So, if anybody happens to have a spare literary agent, let me know, because this thing is just overtaking my life now.
Exactly. Well, you're one for having things overtake your life. I mean, first of all, with being a DJ, and then with creating the NASA store. And no, she doesn't hire someone to do it. She just reads an HTML book and does it herself. And and now you've got running for Congress, because that was easy in Texas as a woman in the reign of the Trumps. So
I kind of just dive right in, and I don't do, as my dad always said to me, don't do anything. If you're going to do a job, don't do it half-ass. That was just his way of saying, give 110%. And I just really, I've been raised with that work ethic. And if you're going to do something, go all in. And if it doesn't work, like I quit my radio job somewhere in there and moved out to LA because I always wanted to know what it was like to act for a living. And I discovered I couldn't act my way out of a box, but I can be Dana really well. So, there you go.
And you actually married Alan and I. You are our
Oh, that's
officiate.
right. I did
Yeah.
that.
The most
Oh my
important thing
God.
you ever did.
It's like pandemic brain. It's like, oh yeah,
Oh, I
I
know.
did that too in there somewhere.
Back when we could
I
meet in
left the
person.
campaign to go get you married. Yes.
It's true. Yeah, she literally, middle of her campaign, she flies in, marries us. They fly out that same day. But, you had a campaign to run. So,
It was absolutely the sweetest wedding, but I want to leave people once this is all over today. I want to
yeah.
leave them with a visual of you they will never be able to get out of their brains.
Oh,
And
no.
that is the horse-drawn carriage bringing the beautiful bride to her amazing fiance, soon to be husband, as he and I wait for her. And it was a rather rutted, kind of bumpy field, and it was a rather low cut dress. And all I will ever think of now when Charlie and I think of Vivica are these huge, pale, bouncing breasts coming towards us closer and closer and closer. Sorry, that's not
Thank
very
you.
business minded, but that is the vision I have of the bride. And that laugh, and she's holding on to her boobs, and they're bouncing all the way to her husband to be. We were everybody was cracking up. It was a beautiful sight.
And I was trying to keep my 92-year-old at the time father from falling out of
Oh, that's
the
right. Yeah, that's right. You were holding on the boobs with one hand, and your dad with the other.
Exactly.
It was a great wedding.
So, in our last 10 minutes, what can you see how right I am right now?
Buy the book.
Buy
Just
the
forget my
book.
stories. Buy the book.
Exactly. So, having written the book with me, what are some of the tips that you've already implemented, that you've already seen results from? What are some of the things that you have taken on?
One of them is just keeping up a regular schedule of making sure things are updated, making sure things are right. I need to go in there and
Yeah.
kind of redo the description. There are two different tips that you've given me from the first book that
Yeah.
we touch on again in the second book that have stayed with me every time, that I constantly tell people. And one of them is you can't have too much information on LinkedIn. It is an incredible amount of free real estate.
Yeah.
Use it. Because I thought, oh, I've done so much. There's so much on there. I need to take a bunch of this off. And you said, no, but it's free real estate. Take advantage of it. And the other thing is, I guess they still do it. Is if you write your profile description on your laptop, your desktop, you have 144 characters and 40
Well,
characters.
actually,
If you
now
do it on your phone, can
it's
you
now
do it now?
220 regardless. Yeah. So that shifted over. I can't remember if it
Okay.
shifted over right before we wrote the second book or after, because usually LinkedIn makes a lot of changes about 10 seconds after my latest book goes to print. So that might have been, but yes, you do have 220 characters, which is, above the fold, an opportunity to tell people not only who you are, but how you help, who you help and how you help them. And now it's really cool. We did manage to get the name pronunciation tip in there too. So like right above the fold, you got your background image, which please make use of that real estate. You can go to vengresobanner.com. It'll take you to a link that will give you the dimensions for that background image, because that is just free marketing gold right there. And then, of course, you have your name. And then underneath that, you've got your headline, which, like Dana said, you've got 220 characters to tell people, who you help and how you help them, and a little bit about who you are. And to the right of that, there's a really cool feature called name pronunciation. But of course, you've got 10 seconds. And even me saying my entire name, Countess Vivica Vilma Charlotte von Rosen, is less than 10 seconds. So it's a great opportunity to let people, again, know who you help and how you help them. And now there's a brand new feature that didn't make it in the book because they released it right after I published it, which is video cover stories. So this is so cool. And Dana, you might not even know about it, but it's so perfect for you. On either your mobile device or your desktop, if you have a little orange plus sign right by your picture, you can create a 20-second video, and it's like the Hogwarts effect. So when you go to someone's profile and you see an orange ring around them, you see their picture, and then all of a sudden there's this talking head, and you see a little video, and you can then click on the ring and you get that 20-second description of, again, who you help and how you help them. So that whole, I mean, if you only did those things top of the fold, it would make an immense difference to how you can attract and engage with people on LinkedIn. So there.
I'm going to look right now. I think that's so cool. So what we have to do is I don't have a little plus. I need to go find my plus.
It's slowly, not everyone has it yet. Not everyone
we're
has
gonna
it
do
yet. A revision.
We're going to do a podcast again. You and I are in a few weeks, maybe at the beginning of the summer, and we're going to go over all the things that have changed. And it's good to know about the 220 characters, because most people don't realize they can go in and add more to their profile. And again, Vivica von Rosen and all those other names says, it is valuable free real estate. Use it to promote what you do and who you do it for.
Yeah, 100%. And, I think that's a big mistake that people make, is either they don't have a profile, which I can't imagine, after a year and almost a half of COVID, well, it seems like 14 years, but, after being remote for a year and some odd months, how could you not have a LinkedIn profile if you're in business? I mean, obviously they're not listening to this podcast, or to this live, but that it is one of the few places that you can network right now, until, we all have our vaccines and we can get out in community again. So like, why wouldn't you have your LinkedIn profile? And then why would it be just a resume, unless you're looking for a job, in which that's awesome. But if you're in sales, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're in marketing, why wouldn't you use your profile to let people know, and I sound like a broken record, who you help and how you help them, right? You really want that profile to be buyer-centric, focused on your buyer, so that when they come across it, they can recognize themselves in it and go, yeah, Dana could really help me. Vivica could really help me. Vengreso could really help me. Deborah Eckerling could really help me with, set my goals. Yvonne Ribeiro could really help me with my social marketing. So it's just, you want to make sure that you let people know who you help. Not that you're like a quota crushing sales guy. Yeah. Which is, unfortunately.
That's funny, because that's my other favorite tip is let people know who you are, what you do, and who you do it for. And the more specific you can be, or at least be interesting. Mine says creates rock stars, and people they go a little bit more, because they want to find out, is she in the music business? Is she going to make me famous? What do you mean creates rock stars? And then you can say, I take the lessons learned from real rock stars and teach the individuals and businesses on, specific things you can be doing. But use that. And so many people don't know you've got all that extra real estate. Use it.
That's right. Yeah, you've got the 220 characters in your headline. You've got, on any given day, 2,000, sometimes more, characters in your about section. It really just depends on how LinkedIn's feeling that day. You've got a featured section now to pull media in, which shouldn't be stagnant. You should always be pulling your latest and greatest media in there. And then, it just shows up, again, kind of above-ish the fold. You've got all the experience sections. And by the way, it doesn't say jobs, it says experience. So writing a book is experience. Of course, working at a company is an experience. Having a podcast is an experience. Speaking on stage is an experience. So you want to make sure, I love it. God, like kink. That's awesome. We will make you a rock star. You want to make sure that all of the experiences that make you who you are, failed actress, that make you who you are listed there with accompanying media. And then the other cool thing, and I some people don't realize, because LinkedIn just slipped this one in, but it's way cool. If you're actually looking at this live right now, you're seeing the creative, if you're looking at this live right now on LinkedIn, you're seeing the new creator's profile. And what that does, what the creator's profile does, is if you have live, and congratulations, Deborah Eckerling got live, it plays where your banner section is. So for people watching this on LinkedIn right now, you're actually seeing the live playing on top of my head, as it were. It pulls in hashtags that you use. It helps you get found more in those hashtags. And it pulls your featured section up a little bit higher. So if you are a creator, and I know we have a lot of creators in our audience because of, Dana, make sure that you get that creator profile. It will give you the option when you jump into your profile. So if you're a creator and you haven't been on your LinkedIn profile in a while, you for sure want to jump on and do that, which is also new since we published the book. So we'll cover that too. Hey, Catherine.
Crazy.
Hey, Brian. All right. Great question. And then it's time. And then we have to go. Man, what's your number one pitch to get someone engaged in a conversation or bring someone into your pipeline when messaging them on LinkedIn? Well, first of all, Brian, what you don't want to do is like, hey, it's Vivica. You should totally buy my crap. And that's unfortunately what most people do, right? They go, hey, you want to connect? The person connects. They automatically put you in their newsletter list, which you didn't ask for and don't want to be. And then they're trying to pitch the wares. So just like, Brian, any kind of face-to-face networking event, you wouldn't hopefully run up to someone with your business card in your hand and go, buy my stuff. And yet that's what people do on LinkedIn. So the answer to your question is, we've actually got a methodology called PVC. It stands for personalize, add value, and a call to action. And all of your engagement, every piece of engagement on LinkedIn, invitations, messaging, all that kind of thing. Thank you. Look at Andre. She is on it. You want to use the PVC. Again, personalize it. So first of all, don't be using like dear sir when the person's a madame. Oh my God, I get that all the time. I've got Vivek is a very popular Indian male name, right? So they see Vivica and they just assume I'm a dude because I totally look like one. So personalize it to the person's name or buyer persona, and then you add value. And so that's key, Brian. You're not selling stuff right off the bat. You're adding value. Maybe you've got a podcast, a checklist, a blog post, a book you like, say like this one, something that you think your new connection will find valuable. It has maybe nothing to do with what you do, but they would find it valuable. And then you don't just share the link, you put in that C, that call to action, which is, let me know what you think about this article. If you had 101 tips, what would you write them about? Anything to start a conversation. We're trying to create conversation. So PVC, personalized value, call to action. And after doing that a few times, then you have earned the right to bring that person into your pipeline, to ask for the meeting. But don't go right into LinkedIn asking for the meeting if the person doesn't know who you are. Like, buy them a drink first, essentially. So great question, Brian. And that took us way over the end. But yeah, thank you for asking. We were just shooting the stuff at the beginning. I see Mario's on, so I'm not going to say the S word. So we were just, chatting at the beginning of the training. So we're going to move into actionable tips. So thank you for that great question. Dana, oh my gosh, that half hour flew by. What do you have to say? What final words do you have for us?
Again, don't let 101 tips overwhelm you. Yes, it is. That's the whole point of this book series. And in this particular book is it's one bite at a time, and you can do it. And I guarantee you, my husband, Wonder Husband, just got one of the biggest clients of his entire consulting career off of his LinkedIn page.
Yes.
And so do it. There are so many people on LinkedIn looking for connections, looking for employees, looking for consultants, looking for help. Do it.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I see some great names in our chat. So thank you so much for being on today's live, soon to be the Modern Sales Mastery Show. And we'll do some more Modern Sales Mastery then. But thank you so much. The amazing Dana Steele. We have to have you and Charlie on sometime.
No.
Well,
Who
with
do you think
that,
does his LinkedIn page? Who do you think has to keep up with his LinkedIn page? No, don't give him any. Do not even let
okay,
him near
we're
social
not going to
media.
give the only credit we're giving Charlie is he introduced me to a really fine single malt called, was it Lost Compass, Lost Compass, Box, Lost Compass, something. I don't know what it is. Anyway, thank you, Yvonne. Thank you, Dana. See you all in a few